Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day. Matt Estrich here with Fit Diesel. This topic is going to be on active shooter. I don't see a lot of change. I see a lot of schools talking to their local police and they're giving them a video or some training to lock down in a hard or soft lockdown, hide, and lock the door, and that's better than doing nothing, but it's not enough people. And you mark my words in this video, if it happens at one of those places, like Santa Fe High School, they had a security assessment by a well-known and government-backed program. And they did a security assessment, they told them what to do. And guess what? That did not work. Because that program specifically focuses on law enforcement response to it. And they have a civilian side of the house, but it's very minute and it's not that detailed. That building didn't even have one way in, one way out access. Their doors don't lock when they leave them automatically. They don't have surveillance from a security point of view that has a view of 360 degrees in areas like stairwells that they should have, and many more things I can go into. My own county that I live in, Knox County, they say they're open to hearing advice that was done in a recent news article in this town, and I've reached out to them in several ways and they don't seem very open to it. I wish they would be, because if it happens in this town, they're going to say, well, what went wrong? The difference is I've been on the news a couple different times as an expert in this area, and I've also been posting plenty of information about this and been in contact with different politicians. People know about it. Schools know about it. Superintendents in this state know about it, because I've emailed them or I've spoken to them. When it happens, they're not going to have an excuse, and that's a sad thing, because you're messing with people's lives, and that's where you should get fired up. That's where I get fired up. It's different if I'm teaching something in strength conditioning or nutrition and you want to do something with somebody else, or you just want to kind of not do it fully or not be determined in it. But this is different. This is kids' lives. Those kids have a mom and a dad, a sister, a brother, or grandparents. So it's not to be messed with. And here's the deal, they're all worried about cost. Well, some people around the nation are charging a ton for this. Well, here at Fit Diesel, we're not. We're barely going to make overhead in certain situations. It's very cost effective. I know teachers, one's like a mother to me. I understand budgets in schools, and it's definitely within budget. In the state of Tennessee, they're going to do security assessments, but only certain individuals that were selected for a one-day training, is from my understanding is what happened, and if that information was given to me accurately. And we don't know who those people are. We don't know where they're certified by. If they are certified, where is it from? Because the quality of education matters, the quality of experience. You all listen to me out there know that. Can somebody just come in and do your job if they don't know it well, when you've been doing it for years, or you have expertise in it because you've been at a very high level of it? So I hope you people listen to this video out there. Our emergency action plan is copyrighted. Means it's unique. Means you can't have two copyrights for the same thing. My staff are certified active shooter instructors. They were full-time instructors in law enforcement, many of them. Many of them were from the special operations community, and one specifically was from a well-known one that's a top tier. It teaches this stuff as well. I taught it for several years to many, many people. I studied it academically for years. My staff, several of them studied with me. We have taken what was wrong with the government plans, they're very vague and gray, and given detailed answers. We specifically give an answer for what do you do when an active shooter enters your room. They shoot through the glass, shoot through the door, which has happened in active shooting events. Look up the cases. How to move down hallways to evade or escape. How to evacuate the facility through evasion and escape. And being able to see a danger area before you enter into it. These are top tier, close quarter battles, what they call it in that industry. Like when you see a police show or a military show and they're entering a house and doing all that clearing, using those high percentage battle-proven techniques transferred into a civilian way for unarmed people, because police don't train unarmed civilians. They don't do security assessments. And there's the flaw in the plan. They're just going to come on the news again here soon when it happens and say, well, what went wrong? We had local law enforcement, we had a plan. The problem is the plan has to be a very dadgum good plan. It has to be detailed A to Z. And you have to train it and you have to practice it like fire drills. You have to have better alert systems. It doesn't take a ton of money. You don't have to have a bulletproof igloo in the corner, which is being sold these days. It'd be great, but they're extremely expensive to put in every single room. Or bulletproof glass. Because once they can't get through the door or the glass of something, they're going to go around the buildings and transfer on to getting smarter as an adversary and start shooting out glass, because guess what? Most rooms have glass. And once you shoot through the glass and continue to shoot, then it's going to be a straight trajectory of fire. So let's get to it. Here's common points I want to make, and this isn't all of them. To check out all of them, go to fitdieselstrength.com, hit the active shooter tab, choose academic or corporate or worship center, whichever one you fall into. 5 things to know. There's a lot more than that, but I just want to touch 5 today. A security assessment has to be done, and not just by anybody, by certified pros. And how do you know a certified pro? For example, my staff, in the government, there are very few people who are agents, federal law enforcement officers, that do security assessments on federal buildings. Very, very few. A few different agencies do it. DSS will do it for overseas installations. Different force protection people will do it in the government if you're in that agency for their federal buildings. And then there's a unit where I came from in counterterrorism that does it for large installations, and some overseas as well. They also teach to the private sector and the international community as experts. That's what I'm talking about. A layered approach from exterior to interior that has many factors, which is what we do at Fit Diesel. We have those people on staff, the rest are trained in that way, and many of us have conducted those kind of security assessments. 2, what do you do when the shooter enters a room or a hallway? You've seen plenty of experts come on the news. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, whoever it is. Recently, I'm not going to mention the 2 people that said this, but they were experts in their field, retired law enforcement, and one retired from an intel agency. And they said, there's just nothing you can do. It's just a terrible situation. Well, guess what? They're experts in what they did. He's expert in policing. This gentleman was expert in intel. But active shooter response, that's a different kind of expertise. There is something you can do. And I don't like hearing that told to mothers out there, sitting down at home watching that. So they have zero hope. There's hope. We have a plan. I promise you we do. I promise you it's a good one. Plenty of people have viewed this plan in school systems and corporations already, and they have not found a plan that has been more thorough and it has been more complete, specifically with answers to what do you do in a room in a hallway. You have to have those techniques, and it can't be general and it can't be vague. It has to be detailed. A detailed technique explained that's complete throughout. You cannot rely on security at your school or school resource officers or waiting until the police arrive. The Department of Education, along with Secret Service, has done a couple of different statistical analysis recently they put out. The Department of Education specifically, it's on my website and that's why I posted it there to quote them, said you cannot rely on law enforcement and cannot wait. You have to defend yourself beforehand. And hope, and the key is, they're not mentioning this, is wait till the large force of law enforcement gets there. Then you're good to go. But that 1 person or 2 person law enforcement, how long is it going to take them to get to you? How many people are going to die beforehand? The newspaper in Maryland, a 60-second response by law enforcement. That's extremely fast. I mean, that's probably the record. I can't think of one right now that's faster than 60 seconds response. Even one on a university where cops are on the university very close, closer than most departments, where usually 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes at the different cases I've read and seen. 60 seconds and still 5 lives lost. You have to be able to defend yourself. And that means you have to know how to defend yourself in a room and in a hallway, and how to overwhelm and overcome that adversity and that attacker. And there's techniques to do that, and I've mentioned that before. There were SROs at Santa Fe too. And look at how many lives were lost there. There's an SRO in Parkland. I know it's a controversial SRO that didn't go in, but you may have that. You cannot test someone's courage until they get into the situation, or they have already been tested in those situations before. You can't count on that. Must know techniques of movement to evade and escape. You can't just say run out the door and go down the hallway and run, because you know why? You could be running into danger. What if your school is two levels and they have a vantage point from top to down, an elevation? You can't just run anywhere. You have to know how to clear a danger area and how to move with techniques that have been proven through many times in battle, in military operations, or in law enforcement. Those exist. You don't have to have a firearm in your hand to do those techniques. They work. Number 5, must have an emergency action plan. Do the drills and train with your local police. An emergency action plan for your business, for your worship center, for your school. That is a footprint, a detailed one on how and what to do and when to do it. And then you can hand that over to your local law enforcement so they know exactly what you're going to do. And they tell you what they're going to do exactly, so everybody's on the same page. And that reduces response time as well. There's many other ways to do that through CCTV and accessing that you can do with law enforcement that will get them there faster. They know exactly where it's at, where it's happening, and they know how to respond faster, and they're more protected by that. There's a lot smarter ways to do this, and they just aren't taking it. You're just going with law enforcement alone, and they do not do this. I came from law enforcement. I love my brothers in blue. This is not what we did. Where I came from in counterterrorism, we taught this, we did this, and got to work with some great people in many places and even internationally that focus on this. You have to have that emergency action plan. You have to do drills. Like I said, fire drills. When I teach my techniques, my staff teaches those techniques. We tell you how often to drill them and how to drill them. And we do that here at FDIESL. We help you train with your local law enforcement in a coordination of what they call an FTX, a field training exercise, or a red team exercise. We do those as well. We come in and test your system. Everybody knows it's deconflicted, so it's safe. But we can coordinate with your local law enforcement if you don't know how, or you want someone there to mentor you in that coordination. You need to work and coordinate and do drills with local law enforcement. When have you ever seen anybody in anything not practice what they do and be good at it? You cannot just rely on, we're going to be okay and it's not going to happen to us. Please don't do that. Parkland happened there. Santa Fe happened there. Newtown, for God bless them, kindergartners. Call people who are expert and experienced, and if you want to test our system, there's a program overview we have that's very detailed. You sign a non-disclosure agreement to see it, and you can test it against any other system. There's not one like it. I promise you, this is one of my passions. I've worked on it for 8 years. I was an instructor in these areas. I have a team. You can look at the staff on the About page at fitdieselstrength.com. Look at their backgrounds. Some of them don't have pictures because they still can't. But look at the backgrounds on there. That's a team that you're not going to see. These guys have had a lot of battle experience. They're focused on active shooter. They don't want this to happen anymore in their country and to their kids. They have that same passion and that same service they did in military or in law enforcement. Pass this around. Pass the knowledge around that exists. Let's change the way this is happening. We can. You do this enough and stop it because you have a great plan, a great layered security approach. You have the worst case scenario plan, and you're coordinating with your law enforcement. Have a great day. God bless.